Here's how to manage social anxiety in conversations. Here's how you can manage your social anxiety in conversations using practical techniques to feel calmer, more confident when interacting with others. I learned how to manage my social anxiety, and in conversations, it changed the way I connected with people. By practicing a few simple techniques, I've been able to stay present, engage in conversations, and reduce the anxiety that just ever so held me back. When you manage your social anxiety, conversations become easier and much more enjoyable. You'll feel confident, you'll connect with others way more deeply, and you'll be able to express yourself without the constant fear of judgment or saying the wrong thing. You might struggle with feeling nervous, anxious, overwhelmed during these conversations, and especially with new people or even in a group setting. Maybe your mind goes blank, your heart races, you overthink every single word you say. I've been there, and I know how uncomfortable and isolating that can feel. But here's a simple tip: focus on the other person rather than just your own anxiety. You can shift your mindset, and it'll help you stay way more engaged in conversations. By asking questions, using active listening, you'll find that the anxiety starts to fade and the conversation just flows way more naturally. So let's understand the root cause. Well, why does social anxiety happen in conversations? It stems from a fear of being judged, rejected, or just saying something wrong. Your mind may start racing with thoughts like, what if I embarrass myself? Or what if they don't like me? This fear triggers your fight or flight, causing the physical symptoms of anxiety like sweating, a racing heart, or just difficulty speaking. I used to avoid social situations because I was so anxious about how I'd come across. My mind would race, and I'd overthink every single word I'd say. Conversations felt like I was giving a performance where I was afraid to mess up, and it was hard for me to feel comfortable, relax, connect. So the main problem with letting social anxiety control your conversations, it becomes hard to yourself for yourself. You might avoid speaking up. You stumble over your words or just completely zone out because you're so focused on the internal dialogue that you have. This makes it difficult to enjoy conversations or create meaningful connections. You've probably experienced a moment where you felt frozen in conversation, unsure of what to say next, or you felt like you're stumbling over your words and you're just focused on not messing up. It feels so isolating and frustrating, especially when you want to connect with others. You might be, fidgeting with your hands, avoiding eye contact, blah, blah, blah. When I using filler words. Simple shift you can do is just focus on the other person. The good news is that you can manage your social anxiety by shifting your focus away from yourself onto another person. By focusing on being curious of what they have to say, seeking to understand versus be understood, you can reduce the pressure you're putting on and make the conversation feel more natural. Start by asking open-ended questions. Keep the focus on the other person. You can ask questions like, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? How did you get your current job? This not only helps you feel less anxious, but also gives you time to relax, pause while you're talking. When you actively listen to their responses, nodding or giving small gestures like, oh, I see, or, oh, that's interesting. You stay present in the conversation, active listening. This shifts your attention away from your internal anxiety and onto the person in front of you. So, some practical techniques that you can use to calm your anxiety: breathing exercises. A simple way to manage social anxiety is through controlled breathing. When you start to feel anxious, take a few deep breaths. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, and then exhale for 4. This helps lower your heart rate and calm your nerves so you can focus on the conversation. Your body language can also influence how anxious you feel. Stand or sit up straight, keep your arms relaxed, face the person you're talking to. This posture not only makes you look confident, but also helps you feel and visualize before you enter a social setting. Visualize conversations going well. I know I do this all the time. I just picture myself speaking confidently, exuding charisma, another person responding to it positively. It can help you feel more prepared and reduce the potential anxiety that you have entering into social conversations or into social settings. How focusing on the other person can reduce anxiety: your mind has less space to focus on the internal dialogue. You're no longer worrying about what you'll say next because you'll be present in the moment. You'll care about what they have to say. As you notice the conversation's going well, you also start to notice that your confidence grows. The more you practice this, the easier you'll get at being comfortable, and your anxiety will start to fade. So, some extra tips that you can do that I personally like to do is practice small talk. Some people shy away from small talk, but it's actually a good way to practice low pressure situations of engaging in conversations, like with a barista or a coworker. Help you build confidence over time and get used to the the lack of fear of judgment because these are small, no pressure conversations. Prepare a few conversation starters before you enter in a conversation. It can help reduce anxiety because you know what kind of questions you can ask to shift the focus on them. Topics that can be simple, like, favorite book, events, sports, whatever you find interesting that you can find a relatability point towards. Remember, be kind to yourself. As someone who used to be socially anxious and someone who's always constantly hard on himself, it's hard not to have the internal dialogue of, oh, I did this. Or when you have those social settings and you look back, you're like, oh, I wish I said this, or I'm so dumb. Be kind to yourself. Remember, you don't have to be perfect in every conversation. It's okay to take a pause, take a deep breath, or even admit that you're feeling a little nervous. Most people will actually, more often than not, appreciate your honesty and will more likely than not relate to what you're feeling. Managing social anxiety starts with shifting your focus on the other person. You have to practice active listening and use calming techniques like deep breathing. By staying engaged and focused on the other person rather than your anxiety, you'll start to feel more confident in conversations. So try it out. Next time you're in a conversation, try focusing on the other person. Ask questions, use active listening. You'll notice that your anxiety starts to ease and you'll feel much more relaxed in those social settings.